It's live, yeah. Hey guys, I'll give you a second to join in. Sorry about the delay. Chat seems to be working. By the way, a bunch of you guys, I just made a bunch of you moderators, so there you go. I'm not sure, Chris, or if somebody could help. We may want to tweet out the new link. I think most people would have saw it in Discord, but not everybody. I can try and do that here. Oh, I think somebody already did it. 43 seconds ago, somebody put a link in. Maybe I'll just pin that for now. Cool. Okay, thank you. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right, looks like we have most people back in here, so thanks very much for bearing with us. At least now, we've got our chat working, so that's encouraging. Apparently, the mistake I made is I said that our AMA was for kids, but I mean, anyway, it didn't like that, so it said so it shut off the chat. All right, guys, I will get us started here. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'm quite excited to go over where we're at, what we've done so far this year, and what we have plans for Q4 and beyond. Chris, you've set me up nicely. Okay, I'll go with that then. All right, first question. I'll just clear that up. Sure. So there's a question about proof of history. So proof of history is not necessarily in there for efficiency. We found other ways of creating efficiency in Solana. So the proof of history, really what it is it's like, think of it as like a 2FA for your consensus. So Solana has two very distinct consensus mechanisms, which are also tied together. So it has, I shouldn't say that it has more than that, but generally speaking, it is a proof of stake system. And then it operates on Tower and has proof of history. So it follows a lot of the same consensus principles most proof of stake systems do. It has some improvements on them. Now, the proof of history means that there's an additional layer of security on top of the proof of stake. And they kind of work together so that both are stronger than they would be without each other. So the proof of history gives us an incredible level of security that most blockchains don't have. Plus, we have everything most proof of stake blockchains have. So there are questions as to whether proof of stake is really decentralized enough, or if there's ways that it can be compromised. When you layer proof of history on top of that, it just resolves all those issues. All those loose ends basically get taken care of with proof of history. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it is why we are more efficient, but it is definitely a key reason, being a security-oriented project, why we chose Solana. Question number 2. Why we decided to move to our new modified version of Solana. So we decided to move to our new, these are very basic questions. We decided to move, I think it's okay to say now, I didn't say this in the previous AMA, but we decided to move to Solana because it's just way, way better in every single way. I'm going to move on to the next question. I think everybody knows that now. Basic blockchain economics and why staking, how the staking and deactivating stake take time and bring stability to market. Yeah. It does have a warm up and a cool down of 2 days. It's not, we inherited that feature from Solana, and to some extent it's good, to some extent it's not. Yeah, I'm kind of a believer in free market, so we have it in there because we've just got other priorities. I'm not really just trying to stop people from sell. Anybody who wants to sell can go ahead and sell. It's we don't want to really prevent people from selling. There's another project out there that uses the safe name that does that, and that's not really my thing. But I will say that at least 2 days isn't very long. One thing the 2-day grace period does do is it provides a little bit of security in terms of consensus. It's hard for somebody to flood the consensus with a new kind of validator or new kind of voting mechanism when you have some delay in there. So because it takes time for staking to come in and out, it gives our consensus quite a bit of consistency and adds security. To me, that's the biggest advantage. Yeah, there's some people who just want to sell right away, and in my opinion, they should be allowed to do that if that's really what they want to do. Okay, ERC20 Esafe. Okay, here's a good question. What is the ERC20 Esafe? A lot of you guys have probably wondered about this. You've seen it in our announcements. All of a sudden, Safecoin came up with an ERC20 token. It's not because we just discovered Ethereum. It is because we've had a long-term plan of a high level of blockchain interoperability. So this is step one in a plan to do that. I will note that it's not necessarily me or our team creating the ERC20 token. This is a token that SafeTrade is going to be the custodian for. And I think SafeTrade will have more news on that. But what the ERC20 does is it gives us a bridge into this world and allows us to use additional bridges that are available to us. So once you have an ERC20 token, you can bridge that store value into the Solana blockchain. So right now, Safecoin started out as just native Safecoin, and we've worked pretty hard over the last few months to actually complete our swap so that we're done with the old chain and all our new exchanges are on the new chain. But now that we're starting to complete that, this ERC20 allows us to bridge into native Solana. It allows us to actually bridge back into Safecoin as in a swap, as in a wrapped Safecoin, and it allows us to potentially bridge to other coins as well that share Ethereum bridges. So with that comes a lot of other possibilities. Obviously, we can list on Uniswap now. We're likely going to be doing that. I think the first thing we want to do is complete our burn. So we're going to be completing our burn. That's likely going to be happening today. You guys will see an announcement on it. And that will mark the official end of our swap. And then once that's done, we're going to start looking at increasing our market exposure across crypto. So of course, Uniswap is something that we can easily list on now, and we are going to look at doing that. But it's a little bit more than that, because this ERC20 token bridges over to Solana, which means that we can list on Serum, we can list on Radium, we can list on Mango Markets, and a number of other dexes. We are very interested in listing on dexes. We kind of think that these dexes are the future. And we're going to be a big part of that future and hopefully lead it. But it does all start with this first ERC20 token. So that's what that's about. And I don't think it's going to end there. We're going to take that quite far down the line. And once we've fully explored that, we're probably going to launch similar tokens, such as a Binance Smart token. So we'll get back to that. Okay, number 5. Coming features and potential features to potentially be implemented. Potential features to potentially be implemented on chain. Well, at least there's no commitment there. So on chain, obviously, our big one is we are working on SafeSwap code, and SafeSwap will have all of the modern features that Radium dexes have, but it's also going to share integrations with SafeTrade and other tools we've developed over the years to support crypto projects. So basically, that's going to be our big one, but we have many other features we want to add. We are currently talking with many third parties involved in the Solana ecosystem and finding out ways that we can help work with them to make a safe, secure community version of this technology. So definitely the DEX is the big one you'll see, but we're looking at many things. We're looking at special smart contracts for security. We're looking at smart contracts for privacy. Basically, the remainder of our year, all of Q4 is going to be smart contracts, and most of next year as well. Okay. Oh, and sorry, there was I'm sorry. In the previous one, there was a suggestion of the tickers for Safe. The tickers are all going to be safe. Now, you see right now SafeTrade has a temporary Esafe ticker on it, which isn't really listed anywhere and never will be. That's a temporary measure. SafeTrade will be eventually merging all its tickers into just one safe ticker. So the goal of this is to keep as much of this on chain as possible and as trustless as possible. That's the goal. And there's areas where we need work on that. There's, we still have some custodial entities in the process for now. But we really want to keep this on chain and trustless. So we consider everything safe. So it's all safe, and we're just going to have that one ticker. So what you'll see eventually is you'll be able to go on exchanges such as SafeTrade and withdraw your Safecoin in native, withdraw it in ERC20, withdraw it in BEP20, withdraw it in Terra, etc. So you can choose what format to withdraw it in, what protocol to withdraw it in, and same thing with your deposits. And a lot of that will depend on where you're going to it, like if you're going to a DEX, etc. So that's kind of how we see this playing out. We see this broadly going across many different blockchains. And because we see Safecoin branching out across so many different projects, we don't want to get into renaming the ticker every time we do a bridge or we announce, another one-to-one format of safe, because it's going to get, ERC20 is our first one, right? And we're just sort of building some of our infrastructure around that. But there's going to be so many of them that the tickers will just get ridiculous. So the tickers just doesn't, once you get into like 6, 7, 8 tickers, it gets to be too much. So that's why we're just sticking with everything is safe, and you make sure you have the right protocol format when you withdraw a deposit. What is Wormhole, and how does it help Safecoin, and where does it bring value? Wormhole is a bridge between, now out of the box, Wormhole is a bridge between Ethereum and Solana, and Terra and Solana, and Binance Smart Chain and Solana. So what that means is that if you're an ERC20 project and you want to start trading or doing, smart contracts on Solana, you can move your token over, and it will run on the Solana network. Same thing if you're a Binance Smart Chain project and you want to be on the Solana network, you can run your token on that. Now for Wormhole too, if you have an NFT project in, say, Ethereum, and you want to move it over to the Solana ecosystem, you can do that using the bridge. Now, we are working on forking Wormhole to work with our chain as well. So what this does is it creates almost like a bridge network. So you have a smart, say an ERC20 contract. Say we have our ERC20 contract. We can right now use our ERC20 safe to bridge into Solana. But we are also forking that Wormhole so that we can bridge back into Safecoin. So what that means is that you can take that ERC20 token and you can move across the Safecoin blockchain and the Solana blockchain all within that ERC20 token, which means that you can actually move your funds across Radium, SafeSwap, Serum, Mango, as well as all of the centralized exchanges, using that bridge. Now, of course, we'd have to get listed on the centralized exchanges. Our priority is the DEXs right now. But you can do that and then move over to Uniswap, come back, lose half your money in fees, and you can do all that on the same token. So it has the ability to open ourselves up to really the entire decentralized crypto market as we see it, because these are really the big dexes out there right now, or the emerging ones anyway. Okay, and again, Wormhole also works with Binance Smart Chain and Terra, so that we're going to get into that once we're finished up with the ERC20. Number 7, upcoming SafeSwap and DeFi. What is SafeSwap and what are the main differences between a DEX and a SEX? And any additional centralized exchange listings upcoming. So, do I have to get into that? I guess I do. DEXs are decentralized exchanges. I've got limited time, so I'm not going to answer all that. You guys know what a DEX is. If you don't, you should find out what a DEX is. So we are focused on DEXs right now. You're going to see a lot of activity with us in the DEX market. So there's a lot of great DEXs out there, and we are positioning ourselves to be one of the most cross-compatible blockchains in the world, and it will be seen on most of those. The centralized exchanges are, of course, out of our control. So there's so much market room for us to grow in right now. That can only be our focus for the time being. So we almost actually had a listing going into the ZAMA, but we ran out of time. But you guys will be seeing some of that soon. Okay, updates on Safe and Fiat and Stablecoin Integration. So as you know, Solana works with many stablecoins. So if anybody's curious, can Safecoin also work with those stablecoins? Yes, it can. In some ways, it already does. So you guys will be seeing quite a bit on the stablecoin front over the next week, actually. So I believe what's being tested the most right now is USDC. So there's a lot of development going on right now with USDC. It's not the only stablecoin that can be done. Almost all the stablecoins can be integrated. But that's what I'll say for now. I don't want to spill too much on that. Other than there will be more announcements on stablecoins, and the first thing you'll see is stuff involving USDC and stuff involving Circle. Okay, good. Number 9, updates on Whitepaper and Roadmap. Yeah, so this is actually kind of where I wanted to start the AMA. So let's get into it. Now, I don't know how many of these other questions we're going to finish, but we need to talk about our roadmap. And so there it is, question number 10, the roadmap. Before I do that, maybe I see at least, I actually see only one comment in the chat. I prefer to answer the real questions. There's 2 questions. Okay, I'm just going to answer those, and then I'm going to move to the roadmap. True chain decentralization. Are there enough validators and enough incentive to run a validator? There are, yes, actually. So if you look at Solana's market cap and the number of validators it has, and then you compare our market cap to the number of validators we have way more validators than Solana has, but per dollar. Or per coin, or per anything, really. If you look at the size of our project compared to theirs, we have vastly more validators. And the reason we do is because we've modified the necessary requirements to run a validator so that it's open to more people, so it's more accessible. So yes, there's a big question in the Solana ecosystem about whether or not Solana is decentralized and its accessibility. And Solana is a great project, but we did see an opportunity there to make some improvements. And yes, so we are considerably more decentralized than Solana in terms of our validators. And yes, it is very easy to run a validator. It doesn't take many resources at all. So we don't really have any limitations on the number of validators we run, etc. That's all been solved. So, and that's a really important point going forward, because that's an issue a lot of large projects struggle with, and we're really set up to scale there. We can grow quite a bit without having issues with our number of validators. Other question there is, when will Safecoin have Solana-like ecosystem? Well, Safecoin, we already have the smart contracts and the tokens. As of 2 or 3 weeks ago, all our tokens and smart contracts were working. So we have the functionality now, and we are just, so I guess to answer your question, we are just starting now to talk to the Solana ecosystem. That's a conversation which has just started in the last few days, because we've been working so hard just to get all of this set up. There's a lot to set up. There's a lot of infrastructure going on. It's not a simple thing. It's one thing to fork a coin. It's another thing to actually set up all the infrastructure and have it ready for them. So yeah, that conversation with the Solana ecosystem, with all the third-party providers, is a conversation which has just started now. And the initial results from it have been very positive. I'll say that. Okay, I'll answer 2 more questions, and then I'll go to the roadmap. We do have to talk about the roadmap. What projects are building or planning on building on the Safecoin ecosystem? All right, well, that's a loaded question. They'll announce it when they're ready. We're not trying to spill news here. We're just trying to say, this is where our project's at. Oh, come on, guys. The Binance. Somebody said when Binance. Come on. Zanakia, is project team growing? Yeah, our project team definitely is growing. It's gone through a lot of changes over the years. And we did actually, when we moved to Solana, we allocated, we definitely made some changes as we moved to Solana, but I think we need to be a little bit careful, because we are a decentralized project, right? So there's a very, very fine line between the project team and the community. And I think I need to thank everybody involved, regardless of their status, because the status doesn't necessarily matter so much. If you look in our Discord, you will see we have amazing contributions from all sorts of people. People who just joined our community contribute. We have people who have been here for a long time and have no status and contribute all the time. We have people who are in Safers who contribute. So I think the better word is community. Definitely, we do also have a team, and they do a ton of work, and we are seeing a huge amount of growth in our community right now. It's amazing to see, and we're really trying to leverage it. Oh, here comes all the questions. When Lambo? Thank you for that. That's the Lambo's coming Wednesday. When will we have a DEX? It's very soon. We never announced a release date for a DEX, but we will. I admit that I hoped it would be done by now, but it is close now. And so I'll answer your question more in our roadmap. When can we purchase Safecoin with US dollar, euro in safe trade? Again, so that's imminent. You know, that would be up for safe trade to decide. But I expect you guys will be seeing an announcement on that within days. Why not do an ICO? It's a good question. We believe that the crypto that actually changes the world is going to be a decentralized fair launch crypto. It's not going to be an ICO, because an ICO shares many qualities with fiat, and is also considered a security. So we come from a very grassroots background, very privacy focused, very community focused, and it's been 4 years now, and we're just dedicated to this store of value and what we stand for. So you know, there's a question of why not raise money. You can't raise money on Safecoin. You can build on Safecoin, but that doesn't mean like that ICOs always win, because you can develop businesses on Safecoin, and you can solve government problems on Safecoin, and you can do all that without a huge legal team, because we're not a security. In many ways, we have a lot of advantages. So in the long run, I do believe that the decentralized projects have a brighter future. They do. And you'll see some of the biggest, but I mean, that's arbitrary, but just keep in mind that one of the biggest knocks on Solana is, in fact, that they were an ICO, and the negatives that come with that. We're trying to be something a little bit different than that. Mastership. There's a question. Development grants. We are definitely looking at grants. Yes. But I mean, just to be clear, Safecoin is never going to directly apply for a grant. It will be a related entity that would apply for a grant. Like SafeTrade might apply for a grant, or one of our wallets may apply for a grant. Just because we are a decentralized project, Safecoin itself doesn't do partnerships or grants. But we can still have the same effect by related entities applying for grants. Okay, there's a question. Why are there only 11 transactions per second? I'll answer that, and then I will go to our roadmap here. There's only 11 transactions per second because we have a much more efficient consensus mechanism. Solana, just keep in mind, 11 transactions per second is basically, that's the entire Bitcoin network. 11 transactions per second is an enormous amount of transactions. But it is, you know, Solana does run over 1,000 transactions per second. Almost all of that, though, it's not actual commerce. It's not commerce that's happening. That's just their validators voting. So that is literally their consensus mechanism. And then I think Solana has somewhere around 1 or 2 TPS commerce. I could be wrong because it's changing fast. Last time I looked, they were around 1 or 2 transactions per second in commerce. And that's really what matters. So, to be where Solana is with all of the momentum behind it is around 2 transactions a second. So don't worry about when you see 11 transactions per second, don't worry about that. What matters is how much of that is actual commerce, how much of that is actual activity. And if it's, more than 1 TPS, you are doing extremely well. You're in the top 20 blockchains. Oh yeah. For us to reach 1,500 transactions per second is not an issue at all. We can do much higher than that. We may do benchmarking on it, but we can presumably do well over 50,000 transactions per second, just like Solana can. We just have a more efficient mean. We don't need to. The difference is that we don't need to. But if we did need to, yes, we have the same ability. Okay, I'm going to get into our roadmap here. Now, Chris has just finished a very, very nice roadmap, which I'm going to pull up here. Chris, feel to publish it anywhere that I miss. Or if you want to jump ahead of me, that's fine too. Okay, you guys should be able to see it in the chat there. There it is. For those of you who are in Discord, I can throw it in there as well. I'll just throw it right into the announcements. It'll look confusing to people, but we'll clean that up after. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see the roadmap now. If you guys are tired of looking at me, I can probably... Do I want to... I won't tempt fate. I'm quite sure that I can actually switch the screen to the roadmap, but I'm just not going to tempt fate. We've had enough fun with YouTube today already. So in the roadmap, the first thing that you see there is Q3 2021. So this is actually stuff we've completed. So these are some key items that we've completed. We've actually done quite a bit more than this as well. Safe tokens are done. So, there's still more work to do on this, but safe tokens are done. What that means is, well, it means two things. One is that there is a wrapped Safecoin that exists. So wrapped Safecoin is a thing. And that means native Safecoin can go in wrapped Safecoin, which is native Safecoin can be converted into a Safecoin token. Why do we do that? We do that because that is how we move funds onto SafeSwap. That's how we get onto the DEX. Now, it's also how other projects launch onto the DEX. So any project that wants to list on SafeSwap or use other features can launch their project on Safecoin right now. So if there is anybody here who's considering launching a serious project, please do get in touch with us because you can launch your token right onto Safecoin blockchain. And also, it is possible, if you're very careful, you can launch it on Safecoin and Solana at the same time. So yeah, get in touch with us if that's something you're interested in doing. We are going to see projects launched on Safecoin shortly, and they will be tokens on top of our infrastructure. Now we have smart contracts, which are live on chain. The smart contracts are fully functional at this point. So we've deployed a few different smart contracts at this point. If you're looking at building a smart contract, or somebody who is, get them in touch with us. We're just starting to have these conversations right now. So we're setting meetings right now with developers who are building smart contracts and getting them to work with their infrastructure. It's much cheaper for them to build on Safecoin. It has far more features than literally any other project. It has huge advantages, and we're already getting quite a bit of interest there. So if you know people who are interested in that, or you are, please do hit us up and talk to us. We do have some documentation already. We'll have more. But yes, all our features are there. You can use the smart contracts now. You can build your business or build your DeFi system or dApp on Safecoin right now, and it does work, and everything's there for you. ERC20 wrapped safe release. We talked about that extensively and is done. Browser extension for Safe Wallet. I don't know why that's in Q3. That was, so that's a Q4 item. We are going to in Q4 release browser extension for the Safe Wallet. So similar to Solana, Solana has various Chrome extensions, for instance, where you can store your funds in a Chrome extension. So we'll be releasing that shortly as well. People find them very handy. They can be used quite securely if you follow the directions, and we'll be seeing a number of those options very soon. Okay. Okay, privacy. Maybe ignore privacy transaction implementation for Q4 because that's actually Q1. Liquidity pool integration. So this is something we're going to see very shortly. So what this means is we've got Safe Trade. Now there's going to be SafeSwap coming. So you're going to have a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange. There may be other exchanges coming as well that handle things like onboarding. All of these exchanges, plus external exchanges like Crex24, Graviex, other projects we work with, KuCoin, Binance, we're going to be integrating liquidity across all these different exchanges. And we have various means of doing that. You know, we've looked at a few different options. We've developed somewhat on Hummingbird, Hummingbot. Hummingbot works out of the box with Safe Trade and can be made to work with SafeSwap. So these liquidity pool options will mean that when these exchanges launch, they will have liquidity, and you can go on them and you can actually make your trades. So yes, and there's going to be some incentives for liquidity as well. But the liquidity pool integration is something where we have an advantage because we already have a CMC listed exchange, and you're going to be seeing this liquidity increase across the entire Safecoin ecosystem. Okay. The mobile wallet's not coming out in Q4. That's also coming out in Q1. The Wormhole bridge to ETH, BSC, and Terra. That's coming out in Q4. The Wormhole bridge is going to allow it. Well, we talked quite a bit about extensively, but I guess I'll just mention that this bridge that we talked about, which combines ETH, and so by the way, in our roadmap it says ETH, BSC, Terra. This will actually, to be completely clear, it will bridge Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Terra, Solana, and Safecoin. That's 5 different projects. It's going to bridge them all together. There's also some work that's being done to bridge Varus as well. Now, we don't know specifically what role Wormhole will play in that, but there are other blockchains as well we're looking to bridge with. So we are really looking to becoming extremely interoperable, and you're going to see the fruits of that throughout Q4. The first thing we saw on that was the ERC20 coming out, and that is just a little taste of what's going to be coming out over the next few weeks and months. And of course, the SafeSwap DEX release will be coming out in Q4. So we can say that confidently now because we are far enough along to say that SafeSwap will actually be out in Q4. I hope earlier than later, but we don't want to. It's not a DEX is something we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot with. But I'm optimistic on when we can get this out, and we're confident it'll be Q4. Another thing you guys are going to see is ledger integration. So we may have official news on this as early as next week. I was hoping we might have it before this AMA, but there's a couple hiccups. But we are working with Ledger quite actively. Nothing's finalized yet, so I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot there again. But we are expecting to have options on the Ledger coming very shortly. And I think this is really important for our brand as well. To have hardware storage is just really the way to go. So I do encourage people, when that's available, to take advantage of it. It's worth keeping your stuff properly stored. It really is. Whether it's Safecoin or any crypto, you do want to keep it stored in a proper fashion, and that's one option that's available to you. Of course, you still need to take your precautions. But anyway, I hope people can look forward to that, and yes, you'll be able to stake on the ledger as well. Now, coming out in Q2, we're going to have an avalanche, and we're going to have to change a couple things on this roadmap. But anyway, the important part is the items. And these items are absolutely correct. The avalanche bridge is coming out in 2022, and so we're going to work on actually integrating with Avalanche. Now, this could change if Solana beats us to it. Then we'll focus on other bridges. But we feel right now that Solana is not going to bridge to Avalanche, and we would like to take that on. So we're going to work on a bridge to Avalanche, and we're going to work on a bridge to Polkadot as well. And we're really just trying to really build our own interoperability over these next few months. Now, these are big items, so keep that in mind. It's I know it says Q1 on this road, so these are Q2 and beyond items. But we are going to be working actively on them. They are huge projects. But we are dedicated to them, and we want to bring them to reality. Another really big one here, and I can kind of emphasize this now, is we've got privacy smart contracts and privacy transaction implementation. So we're thinking Q1 2022, privacy will come to Safecoin. I would like it if it came sooner, but we can't promise that. We want to bring privacy back into Safecoin. Safecoin was born out of privacy, and we continue to value privacy. Solana also was roadmapped to do privacy. They kind of took it out of their roadmap, I think, because of regulatory concerns. We again, because we're not an IEO, we don't have those same regulatory concerns. But also, we don't necessarily have to be a privacy coin to have privacy. A lot of that is changing. So keep that in mind. I think we're running out of time now. So I'll move, but anyway, privacy I'll just say privacy is a big focus of ours. We also want to revitalize SafePay. We're going to be doing Oracle integration. we want to make improvements to proof of history. I'm a big believer of proof of history. It's no easy task to improve upon it, but it's something that we want to do, and we think it's possible to make proof of history even more secure than it is right now. We're tentatively going to do a Cardano bridge, but this is far in the future. This would actually be late 2022. And it depends, because Solana may beat us to the Cardano bridge, but we do think there needs to be a Cardano bridge. Some other projects we'll take on next year, late next year, would be SafeID, SafeChat 2.0, and Safe Starter. A Safe Starter will be quite interesting. Once we have a little bit more momentum behind us, I think it'll be really key for us. So we are pretty much out of time at this point. I will just check here and see if there's questions. So we're set up a little bit differently. For instance, Bitcoin does not have partners because Bitcoin's a decentralized project. So it's kind of funny, because when you're a decentralized project, it's actually easier for third parties to work with you. So it's easier for us to allow third parties to work with us. We just don't call it a partnership because there's no central authority to create the partnership, because we are more decentralized. So we're going to work with lots of people. We're just not going to create official partnerships with them. Trust me, it's a good thing. It works out a lot better that way. But we're actively engaging the entire Solana ecosystem, and it's something we've just recently started, and so far it's going quite well. So I won't keep you guys too long. Is there any other burning questions that I need to answer? An hour is just not enough time to cover all this. What I will say is we're probably going to be doing more AMAs. We'll be doing AMAs either monthly or bi-weekly from now on. You're going to be seeing a lot more news coming out from us. One thing I've realized in this AMA is it's just not it's not possible to cover all the ground in one AMA. But we're going to be reaching out a lot more to get the information out. I got two questions. So a lot of these questions are kind of from the ICO world, like people who have been in ICOs and then are coming to this chain. So it's a little bit different. There are no locked coins. All the coins are available. So there's not going to be any coin unlocking, and that's the advantage of this project. So, well, it's one of many advantages, because because there was no IEO, there are no coins to unlock. There's no giant IEO person who's going to come in and dump the coins. I'm not saying that nobody's going to sell. People can sell whenever they want, but there is no unlocking. All the coins have already been circulated, and in that way, we are very Bitcoin-like. We've matured. Thank you very much, Bernie. Appreciate it. Harsh, no, that 36 million is a hard cap. We will never exceed 36 million coins. You got me, Light. That's a great question. We do it by hard work. So our community, if you look, we have a very dedicated community. We are constantly reaching out to people, making connections. We do it through word of mouth. We do it through organic growth. We do it through building tools that are useful for people to use. If you build it, they will come, is how we grow. And initially it's a little slower, but once you reach a critical mass of people who know about you, it works just fine. And we're kind of approaching that now, where enough people know about us, that we're seeing sort of just natural growth on top of our infrastructure. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Yes, we do. There's going to be more updates to come on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. So you're going to see those updates occur as soon as our burn is announced. So you guys are going to see a burn announcement shortly. We were actually hoping to get into this AMA, but there's just not enough time. Once we finalize our last burn, then CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko will be updated with all our latest information. And that will be the basically official finale of our swap in all ways. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your questions. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of ground to cover here. Big thanks to the community and Team Safe for everything they have done here. I know there's been some huge efforts put in. I really appreciate it. Please come visit us in Discord or Telegram. Come say hi. You can continue to ask these questions. I have to stop this YouTube video just because it's not supposed to go over 60 minutes. And, well, actually, how much time do we have? Actually, no. We have 3 minutes. We have 3 minutes. But after that, then just please come in and come talk to us, and we can continue these conversations. Yeah, I agree. Social media is very, very important. You're going to be seeing more and more activity from us on that front, and I do agree. I mean, our social media has actually increased significantly, and it's going to continue to do that over the next few weeks and months. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to cut this 1 minute short then, since we are over our original time. And thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate it. You guys have been fantastic. There's so much more I want to cover, and I just can't in this time. But we're going to do more of these AMAs. We're going to get better at them, and we're going to be doing a lot more engagement over the next few weeks because we have a lot coming out. It's a very exciting time for us. So I look forward to talking to you guys soon, and we'll see you in Discord and Telegram until the next AMA. Thanks, everyone.